It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin on Monday. Gary, how are you?
Doing good. Hope everybody had a great Father's Day. You have a good Father's Day?
Yeah, it's a good day.
Can we still call it Father's Day?
No, because it's no longer Father's Day. Oh, you mean
the
politically?
Day, the day, yes.
Yeah, can we politically call it Father's Day? Hell yeah, we can.
I really didn't hear a lot of, what you would normally hear during Father's Day, which is, what would the woke say?
Non-front hole? I'm just throwing things out. I don't know.
I think it would be.
I don't know the rule book.
It might be frontal.
Yeah. I don't know. Full frontal. I don't know.
The full.
I don't know.
The full Monty.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because we know women are now birthing persons.
Right.
So.
Right.
I don't know what the name for a father is now.
Yeah, and by the way, birthing persons is also wrong. I'm just going to mess with some DEI minds right now. It's also wrong because that's not all they do. Okay, just let that sink in. Let's let that steep for a while in some liberal brains and wait for the heads to explode. How dare you?
Well, no, that's a solid point.
Birthing persons
gives the impression that that's all that they do.
So what you're saying is those people are just barefoot and pregnant all the time. See where I'm going with that? See what? Go ahead, think on it. Go ahead, think on it.
I'm sorry, but the '90s, the '90s band, the Breeders, just popped into my mind.
Yeah. So think on that. That's wrong. Birthing persons.
It was Kim Deal and her sister, right? They did Kim Deal from the bassist from the Pixies, was in the Breeders, I think.
Yeah.
Never thought about that till now. Two women leading a band, calling the Breeders. It's like, is that politically correct?
No, they have to change it to the birthing persons. And after what I just said, they're going to have to change it to something else. That's the problem with their whole DEI world, is that they say something out loud, then somebody else gets offended. Oh, wait. It's just beautiful. I love it.
And I got this question a ton of times. Did I see my dad? No. I was going to go back this past weekend, but I wouldn't have been able to spend Father's Day. We had a holiday to take, and our family reunion is next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually back to see my dad next weekend, and then back a week later. I come back next Monday, and then 4 days later, I'm back and fly back in again. It's just how things worked out this year. But Dad doing all right. He's doing great at 98.
Good.
And I didn't get to talk to him till later on in the day because, of course, he was too busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, my wife and I drove up to see my dad and mom and hung out with them. My sister was there, her husband. We had some great talks about a number of things. Again, our own little talk show, and just spent some great hours with Dad. We're going to see him again here on Saturday. So yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll be good.
Yeah. So he's. By the way, that's not when there was no. The way I said it, but my father was too busy, as if like we're on the outs with each other because he's too busy.
He doesn't like talking to you.
I was being totally sarcastic. It was in relation to the Seinfeld.
Who's on the phone? It's Gary, Dad. Ah, great. will you tell him I'm busy? Tell him I'm doing a 5K or something.
Look, I know he doesn't have a life, but I do at 98.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but the family sent me the pictures of the breakfast they had with him and everything else. And so I'll be having breakfast with them probably on the next 2 Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
So next 2 Saturday mornings I'm sure we'll be at our favorite breakfast restaurant, Marty's in Clarence Center, New York.
All right. Good.
So yeah, it's all good. But I hope all the fathers had a good day and you sat back. Was there any sports? I guess golf was the only thing. And I couldn't watch it. I got so busy with doing housework yesterday, and then I looked at my phone and I saw that it was tied at the top for the U.S. Open, and I went, I can't watch. I won't go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Just
I watched some of the Saturday round. I really wasn't paying attention. My dad had it on. My brother-in-law was in the room who's played golf since high school. I mean, he's an avid golfer. He just follows it, and it's just been, for him, he absolutely loves it. And so he was watching it, and I didn't pay attention to anything on Saturday. I just saw the headlines when I woke up. On Sunday rather. And that was it. Quiet day on Sunday.
Well, Caitlin Clark was on. I noticed in Fox News, like in the top 15 stories, 2 of the stories was Caitlin Clark playing basketball for the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I see that Bill Maher got into that. I forgot who his guest was. I don't know if it was Lawrence. Was it Larry Lawrence? Charlemagne?
I don't know. On the HBO show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he was talking, it was so funny because Bill Maher goes, was it racism? Because of Caitlin Clark. He goes, well, I don't know. I'm just saying, there's, what these black WNBA players are saying, people should listen. He goes, what about Serena Williams?
Mm-hmm.
People love Serena Williams. She did fine.
Right.
So what is it? And he goes, well, I don't know.
Right.
It's like, well, no. As we stated last week, there are just some players that are either so dominant or so entertaining to watch. That's what people attach themselves to.
Well,
but to make it strictly about skin color without any evidence is getting back to the whole victimization.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm a victim in the WNBA.
Right.
Sorry.
Standout players are standout players. It's that simple.
Right.
That's simple.
And it may not necessarily be what you like. You may not find that person as entertaining as another basketball player. You know why? Because people have their individual thoughts. Let's just look, as we did last week, let's look at music and the people that make billions of dollars and the controversy that exists all the time. Or are they really good, or is it just, all the lights and the lasers and stuff? And does the music actually suck? I mean, that's something that goes on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because people are entertained by different things.
Right.
Which is why we kid, once in a while, but I don't argue music because I don't know why you like the music that you like.
As far as I know, Taylor Swift does not have a mind hold on millions of people around the world. She might. I'm not saying she doesn't. On millions of people around the world, and that mind hold, that mind control that she has is forcing them to buy mediocre, if that, music. I don't know. I don't know that she does or doesn't. That's what I'm saying. She might and she might not.
Well,
it might be that people just go out and buy the music on their own. That sounds radical, but, maybe they do.
Well, there's a reason that, except for Trans-Siberian, every single concert I've been to over the last 5 years has been in a place that holds less than 1,500 people.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, you see the George Strait thing. Wow.
Yeah, from Texas
College
A&M.
Station, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Well, didn't I watch his retirement show 10 years ago from
Yeah, he's retired from touring. I don't think he's done a show outside of Texas since then.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. He does these one-offs, and when you can fill a stadium with 110,000 people.
Yeah, that's...
Because, he did a show that was 107. Was that the AT&T Stadium, Cowboys?
Might have been,
place?
yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. And the Grateful Dead had the U.S. record before this weekend. And it's not the global record, but it's the U.S. record for concert attendance, 110,000 plus.
Well, by the way, you just made a point right there.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Dennis, for some reason, over the last couple of years, has got into the Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all we hear in our group text, and it's like,
yeah,
all right, dude, let it go.
Yeah.
There's other stuff.
Right. Yeah, right. Quit following them.
No, it's the best ever. There's nothing as good as it. It's the best ever.
Uh-huh.
It's the best. It's the best. Well,
quit stalking them. One concert at a time. That's
and
it.
I know for a fact he doesn't do acid.
Yeah, right. Well, then you're definitely stalking them. There's something wrong with you at that point. Yeah, it's that thing. George Strait. I can't tell you the last radio hit he had. My early days of radio, I started in country music radio, and he at that point, Amarillo by Morning had already come out, but he was well on his way to superstardom. It's kind of hard to predict where they're going to be, but if they call him King George, if King George plays a concert anywhere in Texas, everybody who can fit in that venue is going to be there. And I think a couple of things. Number one, probably because it is so rare that he doesn't do as many shows. He does once, just once in a Blue Moon show. And then the fact that, it's also a Texas thing. He's, from Texas. So it's just kind of that thing, and I was just doing the numbers. I was thinking, my gosh. And I looked at that stadium online, the satellite view of that stadium online, and it's A&M, and
I've been by there probably 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I've been there before, and it just looks, you're not doing the numbers in your head when you're there. Things like the Cotton Bowl in the past that I've done, I've gone to shows there, and it was probably, I don't know, anywhere between, it was festival shows, though. It was multiple artists all day long, and that's different than one artist drawing over 110,000.
Did I ask you if you were there for the Styx show where they did Mr. Roboto and Tommy Shaw thought they were going to get killed?
Yeah, I was there.
It was the metal show.
Yeah, no.
And they come out with Mr. Roboto.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, it was bad.
That interview goes,
it was bad.
Where Tommy Shaw says, I thought we were going to die.
If you wanted to get too close to the stage, because, back then, we just jumped onto the field. It didn't matter what ticket you had. We just jumped onto the field and then just kind of rushed toward the stage until they came on and played that song. That I remember pretty well. If you wanted to get close to the stage, during that song was probably your best chance.
Except there might have been a stampede coming the other way.
That was the only thing, is that it was it was one of those where you could kind of see people disperse, going to buy more beer, going to the restroom, doing other things. It was one of those festivals where that song did not fit in. It was like, hold on a second. Who's that guy on the keyboards that just broke into a Broadway play? Oh, that's Dennis DeYoung? Okay. Can we get him out of the band? Because if we can do that.
They didn't. I don't even know if that song was out, but did they follow up Mr. Roboto with Babe?
Oh, yeah, Babe was long before that. I don't know, long before that, but it was out by that show. Yeah, that was, man, I was a kid in Del Rio.
And that was like a metal show, like with Metallica and stuff like that, right? Or was that?
Yeah, I don't know
Metallica.
that Metallica was on, but it was.
That's right.
One of the Texas jams.
Oh, that's right. That was before Metallica, really, wasn't it?
They were out. I think they had moved out of California at that point, but or maybe they were still in the Bay Area. I'm not sure, but they were out. I mean, they were kind of on their way. Yeah, I mean, but that wasn't one of the shows they would have been out before the Black Album. They wouldn't have been at more of a mainstream show like that one. But yeah, it was great. But there was always one artist on that bill, the Texas Jam back in the day, that just kind of didn't fit. You know, it's just like all of a sudden it's like, is that Cyndi Lauper? That's not.
Yeah, they used to do that with concerts, though.
Yeah, they didn't. They tried not to cross over in terms of genres at that show too much, but there were a couple. You know,
Yeah, it's like there's always one band that didn't fit in.
Well, you would get like, you know, when Sammy Hagar joined Van Halen, you know, they were exploding on the radio, but your purists at a show like that were screaming for David Lee Roth, you know. So, and I love Sammy Hagar, but, you know, that's just the reality of what it was. And, yeah, there were some great shows back in the day. Really great shows. Really great shows.
All right, coming up on the show, there's just so much going on. Really, you could see, if I was to analyze the weekend, it was simply this. Biden campaigning with old Hollywood.
Yeah.
Trump goes to the inner city.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's basically this weekend what I got out of it, and the fact that they tried to amp up the latter part of last week that Trump is worse than Biden cognitively.
Right.
And that died by the time we got to yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they were just, I mean, it was just the left was throwing, especially on social media, you saw it, and it's like, you're not going to win this.
No.
Stop it.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that and a whole bunch more. We got a great show ahead, 866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Every driver knows the cost of replacing tires is a major expense. What if you could save on tire costs without sacrificing performance or safety? Consider retreads, a sustainable, cost-effective way to rack up your miles. When talking retreads, sometimes there's worry when it comes to wear. But just because the tread is worn on a tire doesn't mean the casing is. Quality casings can far outlive their original tread. And once they're on your vehicle, the tread on a retread can last just as long or longer than the tread on a new tire. The key to preserving casings, whether new or retreaded, is regular tire maintenance checks.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up here on the show, CNN finalizes rules from the upcoming debate. What happened over the weekend when it comes to both of the campaigns. The push from Democrats to try to have the old age or dementia equivalent between Biden and Trump failed miserably.
Yeah.
Even Mark Cuban. Did you see Mark Cuban jumped on it?
No.
Oh, yeah, going after Piers Morgan and Bill Ackman. You guys both are so consumed with pandering to your Twitter followers, you've lost all your objectivity. I'll let you both in the secret. Both candidates are old, very old. They're both going to have senior moments, misremembering, forget things, and have physical frailties. I'll tell you, not so secret. One is great at sound bites, but also thinks in sound bites. The other is awful at sound bites, but thinks in complete sentences. Voters will decide which we prefer. Right. That is the completely and totally delusional Mark Cuban.
Yeah, it is.
Completely delusional.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yes, so I did notice that the real effort, and it was started by, you think about it, we talked about this about a week ago when, Joe Scarborough from MSNBC, and remember, that is the whacked out liberal network. I mean, that's where the delusion really exists in liberalism, and it really is the last bastion of, in my opinion, of the media defending the delusion of the Democrats. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is, last week where they were saying, oh my gosh, no, I mean, Biden is just, he's so aware and he's so so critical thinking, and his age just can't keep up with him. And Trump, he's the one that has the cognitive age problems. And you're like, really? Yeah. Really now? You're trying to convince people of that. Understand, though, just because they're passionate, because really, to me, that's where it began about a week to 10 days ago, where, on Morning Joe, they started, just pounding it. That's what the left watches. That's what they watch when they get up in the morning in D.C. Mm-hmm. They're watching Morning Joe. That's the only place that they can get their really delusional liberal hit every day. Understand this. Let's go back to October of 2020. Let's understand Scarborough and Morning Joe, how they will perpetuate lies, name call, and this goes back to October of 2020, and this is when the New York Post story came out, which was censored, which was, what, 100% correct?
Yep.
Remember, 100% correct. Let's go back to October of 2020 and Joe Scarborough.
And talk about Facebook having problems and Twitter having problems with a story that even the New York Post knew was a lie. They published a series of lies peddled to them by Rudy Giuliani, who admitted that nobody else would take it but Rupert Murdoch's New York Post, because they might look into it and tell the truth. Here we are in 2020. This is what it's come down to, America. Giuliani is feeding Russian misinformation to Donald Trump and feeding Russian disinformation to the New York Post. They know it's a lie.
Yeah, well,
that's where we are in 2020.
The New York Post
just to let you know that they're still talking to Russians. And by the way, Russian hoax, come on. Really, history will expose you all as fools and useful idiots for the Russians. It's for 4 years now. For 4 years now, there has been a line from Russian agents into the campaign. It's unbelievable how stupid you think Americans are. How stupid you think Americans are. For you can just say Russian hoax. Seriously? It's the idiocy, the sheer idiocy. You are revealed right now, but you will be revealed throughout history for basically running cover for Russians.
And you've got, all right. Who was running cover? Joe Scarborough, because everything that Joe Scarborough said there was a lie. We know that now.
Yep.
There was a Russian hoax.
Yep.
There was no direct line between Russian agents and the Trump campaign. The Russian hoax existed. We know it now. We know that the Russian hoax came from where?
Danchenko.
It came from Hillary Clinton.
Well, it began with her and
right.
I'm going straight to the dossier, but
right.
The entire equation put in motion by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, but Hillary Clinton's campaign in a very Clinton-esque type approach, because it was the only way. Think about this. What did she fear so badly about Donald Trump that they had to go out of their way, not just find something on him that would be scandalous, but to come up with the entire Russian hoax? You need to bury him because you saw his popularity. in 2016, he was making connections with people in a way that you hadn't seen before, and by gosh, it was your time, not his. So she had to go out of her way to make sure it was going to bury it. Her opponent was going to be buried politically very deep. If you look at the sophistication of the Russian hoax in its entirety, because once Hillary was no longer viable, it was about carrying it on after he became president. I mean, it is the, if you were to, we've talked about this before, if you were to make a series about this, it would run for 30 years. It would be the next Law and Order. It would run for decades, because in order to tell the story properly, you're going to need that much time.
Yeah, so we all know, I mean, he was wrong on that. He added that, but he added that at the end, that the Russian hoax, come on. Mm-hmm. But the rest of it that he hit was the laptop story, which turned out to be 100% accurate.
Yep.
The New York Post didn't lie. The New York Post was telling the truth. The only people lying was Joe Scarborough. But understand, because we play Scarborough, look, his audience isn't huge, but it's what the left relies on, because it's really the last bastion every single day when you wake up in D.C., in the Beltway, somebody promoting the delusion of the Democrats right now. And that's what he's promoting. And then you saw it. He started the whole thing that, no, Trump has his huge cognitive problems and Biden is as aware as possible and better than any Republican Speaker of the House in articulating the issues. We know that's a load of horse manure, but understand how far Joe Scarborough will go, how far he and his wife will lie in order to push a completely delusional narrative. And all we have to do is go back and look, and that's one of the reasons you don't jump on a story when you don't have the facts in front of you and make absolute, as he was doing, those were absolute statements he was making. There's no gray area there.
No.
But everything Joe Scarborough told you there was a lie. Everything.
Well, and it was a lie. It's, part of the tell there on the lie, both with the New York Post story and the whole Russian hoax thing, is what? One of the tells is, if someone comes at you and says, this is a lie, they should tell you why it's a lie. And what you should, if you're telling someone it's a lie, you should tell them what proof there is, what evidence there is that they're lying. We can tell you Joe Scarborough is lying because now the proof is out with both the New York Post story on the laptop and the whole Russian hoax thing. I don't even know anybody that's even talking about that on the left anymore, because they know they can't make a case on it, and that's over for them. And so is the laptop thing.
Yeah, both are over.
Yep.
And so when Scarborough's out there the last 10 days promoting the fact, and that's what they're trying to do, well, Trump is worse, way worse than Biden, way worse. Not even that he doesn't have, because everybody's going to have, as we know, senior moments, forgetful moments. That's not what we're talking about with Biden.
No.
We're talking about not being able to pronounce words consistently. We're talking about the freeze, which people have seen in their parents, that have cognitive problems, dementia problems, whatever. But things aren't normal, and so they're screaming that Trump is actually worse. Nobody's buying it. By the time we got to yesterday afternoon, I was like, okay, that seems to have died. And then I saw the Cuban. I don't know when Mark Cuban put out his thing at Piers Morgan, but it was in the last 24 hours. But it was just like, that's Mark Cuban being delusional.
Yeah.
Because to sit there and make the case that this is just about, well, he's just an old age. And I love how he said how he compared the two candidates. One, what do you say, speaks in, not phrases. Oh, I forgot what he wrote.
Sound bites.
Sound bites, exactly. And
the other one's not good at sound bites, but he thinks in complete sentences.
Right, and that would be Biden.
Yeah.
Which is completely, hilarious.
Yeah. He says Trump basically repeats sound bites and thinks in sound bites, and Biden may not produce sound bites, speak in sound bites, but he thinks in complete sentences. Again, they want you. You can't see it. You can't hear it. There's no evidence of it. But because you can't see it and you can't hear it is evidence that it exists, according to people like Joe Scarborough and, in this case, Mark Cuban.
And then I just read this one here. Actor Jack Black just dramatically announced his endorsement for President Biden, and he brutally lashed out at President Donald Trump. Black, accompanied by George Clooney, Julia Roberts, President Obama, and Joe Biden, plus other Hollywood stars.
Stars. Oh, are they?
My God, Jack Black looks horrible.
Yeah.
I'm just going to picture him. It's like
He's been wearing that beard a little too long.
Oh, yeah. It's not good.
It's a little too long.
But that, and I said, wow, there's Biden. And one of the headlines was Black pastor tells Trump, glad to have you here. Obama never came here. And I'm like, you sit there and you juxtapose that statements plus his speeches over the weekend at the Turning Point Convention and all that, and you're just like, wow, it looks really bad but nobody cares about Hollywood endorsing you.
No, they don't. They don't, especially aging Hollywood.
Well, it was funny because I said, wow, does anybody young know Clooney? I go, what was his last movie? Peacemaker? And I went, oh, no, wait a minute. It was the one in Hawaii, Descendants.
Yeah,
which that was actually a good film.
It was a good movie.
Really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that was still, 8-9 years ago?
Yeah. There hasn't been much box office action from him.
But just Hollywood in general, nobody's paying attention. As soon as you say Hollywood endorses Biden, well,
right.
They
have to clump it into one. Yeah,
right. You might as well say far left California embraces Biden.
Right. It's no shock that you see these liberal Hollywood types up there again. So they're bragging about the elitists' endorsement.
Yeah,
that's not something right now people want to hear about.
No.
It's that's the difference between the two.
Oh, and you're talking about there he is fundraising from Hollywood, and it is just, I'm telling you, it's extremely. I don't know if they can ever do it. That's the one question legally. But the pounding on the no taxes for tips.
Yeah,
and Trump saying everybody should write that on the receipt. And I'm like, wow, what a way to get a buzz going in restaurants.
Did you see it? There was something that went viral on social media. I think the New York Post had the story, and someone tipped in a restaurant. They tipped $100 and then wrote below, somewhere on the receipt, lower, a little bit lower on the receipt, vote for Trump. He supports no tax for tips, and then highlighted it in yellow. I don't know if the person highlighted it or the person taking the picture of the receipt highlighted it, but it was highlighted in yellow, vote for Trump, because he wants to do away with taxes on tips. That's, again, something that catches fire. Will it happen? We don't know. It's not the point. He's acknowledging something in a service industry. Quite frankly, a lot of people may say, well, it's not. Actually, look around, ask around. Look at how many people are in the service industry and how many people aren't going back to the service industry. But at some point, we all rely on the service industry because we want to go to a restaurant. We want to go, hang out with friends or something. And we rely on, and you and I have talked about it, on restaurants being staffed and having people there that want to be there. They're incentivized to be there and everything else. So there is a political connection with that part of the economy. It wasn't just in Nevada.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the top of the hour, we'll tell you how Chuck Schumer had to delete a tweet about Father's Day.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They just can't. They can't do anything right. I mean, how many tweets? And this is so dumb, but wait till you hear it coming up following the top of the hour. I do love the thing that you see on social media these days whenever somebody from the left tweets or puts out a meme, and it's like the left can't meme. It's just, I love that now.
It's getting worse seemingly. You would think they would be the best at it, and they're just horrible at it.
Yeah.
They really are.
Because we used to call it bumper sticker mentality, then it became meme mentality.
Right, and that's kind of what they carried back in the day. They were fairly decent at that, and for some reason they can't do that anymore. I guess because once you've gone full on delusional, you just don't even know how to put a meme together. You can't even do a photo op with burgers and hot dogs.
Oh, I can't even.
Oh my gosh! What's happening right now?
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, he's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here this morning.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I just love this. Wow. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was ready to man the grill on Father's Day, but he couldn't handle the heat when a slew of food critics on social media questioned his skills with a spatula and a patty. The Brooklyn-born senator initially posted a photo to X of himself in front of a grill with burger patties and hot dogs with an ear-to-ear smile. Quote, "Our family has lived in an apartment building for all our years, but my daughter and my daughter and her wife just bought a house with a backyard, and for the first time, we're having a barbecue with hot dogs and hamburgers on the grill. Father's Day heaven." Schumer X'd, they said tweeted. Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
But commentators were quick to grill the New York legislator and wonder if a piece of cheese on a patty was placed there prematurely.
Well,
Chuck, I love you, man, but please put the cheese on after the burger is cooked. The burgers are all raw.
They were just placed there.
Might want to cook that burger longer, Chuck, another commented. Ex-National Republican Senatorial Committee committee person Matt Whitlock tweeted, "Seeing that piece of cheese on a raw patty. Yeah." But some came to the defense of the 73-year-old father of two, with one user insisting, "Calm down, people. It's not raw cold. It's a veggie burger patty underneath a slice of tofu." Chuck Schumer is actually doing better than me, another user tweeted. "Today, my grill has a grease fire and destroyed my Father's Day ribeye." Schumer deleted the tweet and photo following an onslaught of criticism, although his initial Father's Day message from Sunday morning remained. He had put out Happy Father's Day to all dads out there, but he deleted the tweet of him cooking, well, not cooking burgers.
Yeah. Well, the good news is at the place settings at the table they had it came complete with napkin, fork, knife, spoon, and directions to the ER.
I just love it. That's
hanging out with his buddy E. coli on Father's Day. Apparently,
I just love it. You
can't get a simple burgers and hot dogs,
and
it's all you got to do. Give him the spatula. Show him how to hold the spatula. Number one, and then let him hold it over. As if he's about to, flip the burgers. And that's all you have to do.
Now, Kamala Harris got hit with what? She was using a gas stove, right?
Yeah.
Remember that
so.
one?
Yeah,
where
yeah,
she got
yeah.
hit with
Right.
the gas stove?
Yeah. How dare you?
Right. You can't use a gas stove.
Right. Or single-use plastic or anything or everything. There's nothing you can use. Are you in a house with air conditioning? Get out. And politically, there probably couldn't be an easier photo op. Hey, listen, because this is how it works within the family, right? Within the family, like the other family member is approached by his staff, and I mean in the house. Listen, the Senate Majority Leader would like to. You may know him. He's the man over there, also known as your father. He would like a photo with the burgers and the dogs. We're going to arrange that. We have a meeting to determine how everything will be arranged on the grill, because we don't know if the dogs are on the left, burgers on the right, burgers on the top, dogs on the bottom. We're not sure yet. But here in about an hour, we're going to make our decision, and we will reapproach you. It's pretty simple. And you can't put your cheese on before you flip it. That turns into a mess.
The fact that we're having the discussion, though, no, the whole point is not that he got caught, but that he got caught because he deleted it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever deleted any social media post I've ever made, unless I had not delete it, but change it because I wasn't paying attention, had a massive, spelling error.
I didn't. Yeah, I've never deleted something out of being hammered on something.
Yeah.
I deleted probably, I don't know, a number of things over the years, not because people were calling me out for something. And that's the difference. And look, do I expect that the Senate Majority Leader is going to be flipping burgers? No. He's not a ketchup eater like you. Are you kidding me? He's having raw beef, but it's steak tartare.
Well, and if it was veggie burgers, remember now the latest news on veggie burgers are not healthy. So there is it's worse than a burger.
Yeah, if it's highly processed, stuff that's in it.
Oh
yes.
yeah, they are.
Yeah. Well, not all of them are, but most of them on the market that you hear advertised, many of them are. Yeah. And the problem.
Well, the processing comes in because they're trying to make it like meat. That's where you've got to process it. You're using chemicals to process it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But
not all of them are heavily processed with all the additives and stuff that are bad for you. There are a couple of them out there that are. If you're talking veggie burgers. And it depends on the ones that have the fake grill marks, like Schumer's hot dogs on the left in the picture.
I didn't see them with the fake grill marks.
I don't know if they are. I don't know if they're fake grill marks.
About 15, 20 years ago when they first came out, I started eating them, and then I realized they have more carbs in it.
Yeah. They're filled with a lot of cereals and grains.
And so I just...
No, there was one... Oh,
the one had the chicken patty that was pretty good.
Yeah, there was. I forget the brand, and I ate a few of them along. But yeah, they had the fake grill marks. Yeah,
I remember having the fake. Was that the Morning Star had the fake grill marks?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I remember eating some of those, and then it was like the carb content. When you're type 2 diabetic, it's like, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And so, not that I have sausages or hot dogs or hamburgers much, but I didn't have any yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've
bacon and eggs. Yeah, it was great. It was really good.
Bacon
eggs.
What
I had. Yeah.
That's a great Father's Day.
Yeah.
Now that was for breakfast, right?
Yeah, late breakfast. I slept in a bit. My wife and I both slept in a bit. We probably would have slept in later, but somebody's phone rang. Yeah, it was. It was I always say this too on the whole veggie thing. Then just eat veggies. Quit trying to eat meat-like product. You know. And if you want one of those, you can go to the fast food places. They have a lot of meat-like products. That's not a nugget.
But yeah, I just, we're for sure. It's just the left can't tweet, the left can't meme.
Yeah.
I love that on social media that you see constantly. But I can't imagine being that high in politics and having to delete something because you got caught actually not cooking, which shows, because if he didn't, he could have simply said, these are cooked, they're veggie burgers. See how the left tries to, or see how the right tries to, how the right speaks before they know what's going on.
Oh, I took that. See, I took that. I saw that comment. And I took that as a joke, because they mentioned the tofu.
Yeah.
They said veggie burgers and tofu.
So did I. I took that as a joke.
Yeah.
But he didn't say it. That's my point. Not what a commenter said. He didn't say it. He just deleted it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which means he knows he got caught. Otherwise, there was no reason to delete it. It would have been a perfect opportunity to say, just like they're editing all the photos of Biden and the videos of Biden are all being edited, which they're not. But
I'll introduce a new theory. Maybe it wasn't about the fact that the burgers were raw. Maybe it was about the fact that hot dogs and hamburgers are an all-American meal. Let me repeat. Hot dogs and hamburgers are an all-American meal.
So what happened was the pro-terrorist faction of the Democratic Party got upset.
Yes.
Because that's a symbol.
Right.
Hot dogs, hamburgers, all he was lacking was apple pie.
Exactly. And some baseball.
Everything American must be eliminated.
You're part of the problem.
I didn't even think about that. You're right. That's probably it. He got, this is true pro-America. You've got hot dogs and hamburgers.
He better not have an American flag anywhere near that residence, because that's going to push it over the top. That's going to prove.
Hey, were the hot dogs?
He's just the same as Trump.
Were the hot dogs? were the hot dogs the Joey Chestnut ones?
Right. Yeah, probably.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Independents with carrier authority should be mindful that negotiation strength varies as the week progresses. Typically, the highest rates across major segments are paid for loads negotiated on Sundays, and the highest volume of loads for all segments is seen on Mondays. Also, the weekday that tends to be the best for flatbed negotiations, yielding the best rates. Owner-operators tend to have less negotiation strength on Tuesday, which shows the lowest weekday spread between brokers' offered rates and actual paid rates. Broker offers tend to rise by Wednesday as the end of the week is in sight. This day also seems optimal for the 3 o'clock hustle, so-called for its reliance on that afternoon time of day, when brokers are getting nervous, to improve negotiation strength. Stay mindful of this system to maximize your revenue. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up, CNN finalizes the rules for the upcoming debate. How the Connecticut bar is saying that to call any of these prosecutions against Trump partisan or show trials should not be done. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Turley looking at that going, is that a threat? Is that a threat,
right,
to lawyers in Connecticut? When something clearly is, look, people aren't stupid, and the Connecticut bar is, in my opinion, by reading what they wrote, it believes people are stupid.
Yeah.
People can tell. People know. One of the things we talked about with trials and is the fact that people have watched on TV shows with trials for the last 50 years in this country.
Yeah.
From Perry Mason to what's his name in the blue suit? I can't think of his name. Opie's dad.
Oh, yeah.
To Law and Order.
Yeah. Matlock,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've watched, we know how courts work. You know if a case is strong or if a case is not. People understand the law. People understand that when you're accused of something, there should be specifics about what the crime is. People aren't stupid, and that's why Trump has not suffered at all. I just saw Arizona head-to-head up by 7 over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And if you add everybody, he's only up by 4. I don't buy it. I do not buy, and that's a Rasmussen polling. I don't buy that in any state that Kennedy running takes more than Trump than he does Biden. I just don't. And, of course, Stein and West would not. So when I see that, I don't buy that. We'll see what happens come Election Day, but I don't buy those polls that show that Kennedy takes more from Trump than he does Biden.
No, I don't buy that. I don't look, especially as you mentioned, you bring in the other candidates because it assumes that he takes, and I have to look at it, but it assumes that he takes, a pretty good chunk from him and that the others don't take anything from Biden. I mean, I got to look at the breakdown completely on it, but I don't buy that. I could see in a state like Arizona, I could see maybe Trump losing a point, but losing his lead by more than half.
Yeah.
That I don't buy.
Again, I'm not saying that there isn't somebody, because I know a couple people that, and I'm like, why would you ever, you might as well vote for Biden. Why would you vote for Kennedy?
Right.
He would be just as radically left as a president of, maybe not as radical as Biden. I don't know, but he's going to be extremely radical.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to change anything on the climate change narrative. He believes in it all.
Right. Yeah, it's and it's the also his. If you look at Kennedy's Veep pick and everything else, it points to the left. If you're looking, unless you're just one of those that there's no way, and I'm not going to vote for either of Biden or Trump. But I don't believe for a moment that it's to the point of cutting Trump's lead in half in that state.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
By more than half, yeah. So, yeah.
And I guess in a poll you could find maybe 1% or 2, but for a poll to show
the MOE on that was almost 4, I think, total.
4?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, well, that's pretty large.
That is a pretty large margin of error, yeah.
That's in the margin of error then. And
yeah.
That would actually be in the margin of error. So, all right, that's the excuse then.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's where it would have to fall for me to believe it. And the reason is because you don't see, and again, you and I aren't watching the ads from Arizona. We're not watching the ads from other states. But we do pick up on the buzz around presidential candidates and where it is and where it isn't. And you know it when there is a third-party buzz. Did Kennedy have one early on? Yeah. Was it as high as, what would they have him at, 17, 18 points? Nah. I could see early pollsters finding people that weren't sober
well, there's
as respondents.
I feel, well, number one, you said this earlier, the hatred for Trump that existed in 2016 and in 2020 has disappeared.
Yeah, the toxicity has dissipated, and that's the difference, because I was telling you during a break that if you look at right now, because it really is the grassroots thing all over again. But I made the case off the air earlier that I think the grassroots thing for him is actually bigger right now than it was even in 2016. As a non-politician, he's a businessman. He's a celebrity, but he's a businessman, and that's why we're supporting him. I think the buzz about him, the grassroots thing, is actually stronger now because the toxicity has dissipated. It was there, created by the left, of course, in 2016. And in 2020, I mean, we were knee-deep in COVID, and there were a lot of things going on. But right now, I believe he's got more momentum than he's had politically before.
Setting the standard for America. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara on Red Eye Radio.
Red Eye Radio, he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just reading here from Bloomberg. Biden looks to Hollywood for 2024 boost. It hasn't been that simple. Joe Biden is banking on Hollywood's A-list to propel him to victory in November, but their star power has yielded a mixed bag for the embattled president. Big-name actors and musicians, from Robert De Niro to Barbra Streisand, have enticed donors back to Biden's reelection effort, but there's little evidence they've energized their fans to come out in support of him. Meanwhile, a cadre of young stars have yet to publicly back Biden in his race against Donald Trump. Biden sought to capitalize on celebrity support Saturday at the high-dollar fundraiser at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, joined by George Clooney and Julia Roberts, as well as former President Barack Obama. Roberts, Clooney, and the others, stars including White Lotus actress Connie Britton, sent text to supporters soliciting donations ahead of the event. The night raised more than $30 million, according to the Biden campaign. Comedian Jimmy Kimmel warmed up the audience with jabs at Trump, mocking him as an orange Julius Caesar before moderating a discussion with Biden and Obama. Asked by the late-night host how they would appeal to Republican voters frustrated by their presumptive nominee but wary of backing a Democrat, Obama cited Trump's recent conviction for falsifying business records, a verdict that made the Republican the first former U.S. president found guilty of a felony. By the way, this is Bloomberg that wrote this, just so you understand the context. Part of what has happened over the last several years is we've normalized behavior that used to be disqualifying, Obama said. Oh. The nominee of one of the two major parties sitting in court being convicted by a jury of his peers on 34 counts, end of quote. The Saturday's event was star-studded affair, which saw actors Jason Bateman, Kathleen Hahn, and Jack Black participate. All recent Democratic presidents have sought to transform the loyal fan bases and name recognition of Hollywood's elite into support, but Biden's team has struggled to make the endorsements stick this year, especially among young people displeased with his handling of the Iran-Hamas war and other issues. The toxic nature of the political debate may also keep celebrities on the sidelines. There's a difference between motivating donors and motivating voters, said Aubrey Montgomery, president of the Democratic consulting firm Rittenhouse Political Partners. Not all celebrities like to be associated with partisan politics. They talk about Beyonce and then Taylor Swift have yet to endorse Biden this year and say, Taylor Swift could have an impact. I don't think she may have any impact. Still, Biden's Hollywood support helped him rack up a cash advantage against Trump, although the former president started to close that. DreamWorks co-founder Jeffrey Katzenberg is Biden's campaign co-chair and has leveraged his relationships into financial support Director Steven Spielberg is helping the message efforts for Democratic National Convention in August. So it's good to see that the Jewish celebrities are promoting the pro-Hamas candidate.
Yeah. And, it's the Hollywood elitists. That's what people see. At a time when people are struggling with growing credit card debt and being underwater when it comes to inflation. And that's what they see. What they want to know is none of that means anything. Fundraising, okay, great. Fine. But the fundraising is only as good as the message that it facilitates. That's always been the case. And now you have a situation where, and what's different between the fundraising for Trump and Biden is people sending $5 at a time, tens of millions of dollars in a 24-hour period is impressive. Rich people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars getting their friends to pitch in millions of dollars at a time each, really not that impressive. Those are your two candidates right there. Who connects with people and who connects with Hollywood and the elitists? And I think it's pretty clear.
Well, what I got out of it, again, I when you just juxtapose what happened over the weekend, it was Biden trying to get the old Hollywood elite, because they're old. I'm sorry, but I mean, when you talk about Julia Roberts, when you talk about when you talk about De Niro, when you talk, these are all older actors. They're not. This isn't. It's not Tom Cruise. But they talk about this, and I'm just saying Tom Cruise because he is really the last. Really,
well, he has a relevant box office.
Right, exactly. right. But it says some celebrity. This is interesting because remember, this is Bloomberg. This is the left covering Biden, not the right. And so when you hear all this screaming about Biden freezing, it's all edited. They got it here. Some celebrity interactions have fallen flat and failed to generate the viral moments Biden campaign is seeking. De Niro's fiery denunciation of Trump outside the Manhattan courthouse where the Republican was on trial earned plaudits from Biden supporters but was mocked by others. Star Wars actor Mark Hamill made his surprise appearance at the White House in May to praise a president he jokingly dubbed Joe-B-Wan Kenobi, but White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre later struggled to explain why he was even there. During a Juneteenth concert, Biden went viral, but not in the way his campaign desired. Videos of the 81-year-old president appearing to freeze during one of the musical performances circulated on social media, raising concerns about his age. Trump has made inroads with celebrities. His first video to TikTok this month alongside UFC CEO Dana White. Trump also has amassed more followers and likes than Biden's campaign account, which debuted in February. Trump in May held a rally in the Bronx and invited rappers in an attempt to connect with black voters. The only people in America who support Joe Biden's failing campaign are elitist Hollywood celebrities. Like I said, it wasn't a good look for the president over the weekend. I mean, there's just so much, and Trump just continues to roll along. And I did see The Nation. Trump says incoherent things. It started with it started on MSNBC about 10 days ago with Joe Scarborough, and then it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. By the time we got to yesterday, I'm like, that blew up. That didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, right.
Because it's not going to go anywhere. Because Trump may say things that might not make sense. If he's ad-libbing, he might not put the entire equation together. And you go, what did he mean by that? But that is not a Biden not being able to pronounce a number of words to complete a sentence, and most of the time not correcting himself. And if he attempts to, makes it even worse. To me, that's actually, I mean, the freezing is a part of it because we all know about the dementia and the freeze at the Juneteenth party. That was just outright creepy.
Well,
It
and
really was.
that one went on a lot longer than the one you saw from over the weekend. But the one over the weekend, the media was trying to say, well, it was taken out of context. Well, the longer video came out, and it's not taken out of context, and it makes it look worse even. In fact, that's the one right now that's over the past few hours that's been circulating more on social media. You see him turn as he's waving. Everything looks fine. He's waving. All of a sudden, he locks up. His arms go stiff. He locks up, and even Obama notices it. There's a reason Obama had to take him by the arm. Ask Obama what he thought happened, because here's the difference. Obama was already walking off ahead of him, and he noticed it and took him by the arm. And also notice Biden's head the moment Obama touches his arm. He's waking up, coming out of that freezing moment, and then he's in a daze as he's walking off very slowly, side by side with Obama, and Obama has to put his arm around him and basically help him off stage. That's what went down. I've seen it before firsthand in family members, and I know what it looks like. Let's all quit being stupid.
The thing that is the slam dunk for me is when he gives the speeches and cannot pronounce not just a word, but an entire sentence, and slurs through the meaning where you have no idea what he is actually saying.
And it's not like he catches himself and then tries to say it correctly, or even sometimes when he does, he still just can't get it out.
No,
and the reason is because the mind at that moment is failing him.
Right. And since this has happened, especially the last couple of weeks, I'm really paying attention when I talk to my father, saying, does he mispronounce any words? And he doesn't at 98.
Yeah.
And he thinks he will occasionally get distracted, because people number one, he's got me on, he always has me on speakerphone and there's other people there. So he's always talking, Dad, yeah, I'm sorry, I was talking to your sister or something, or your brother's over, or your nephews or whatever. And, and I was pointing to them, whatever. And I got a bunch of paperwork in front of me because he still does all of his bills and all that stuff and finances at his age. And I just pay attention for the mispronounced words, and it never happens with him at 98.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen. And so the number of times there is something wrong, they're panicking. As we said, when I looked at the Mark Cuban responding to Piers Morgan, just saying, "Oh, they're basically just old," and Mark Cuban just proving he is buying into the delusion of the Democrats.
Yeah,
and the other thing is Obama, when asked, what do you tell Republicans or independents? Well, bring up the 34 convictions. That's already been done. That's been there.
Yep.
What somebody hiding that?
Yeah.
Is there somebody doesn't know that happened?
Right.
That's been an advantage for Trump. He hasn't heard it all. In fact, I believe he's probably picked up a point or two after those convictions. It's not working. So you've got all this time to prepare. This question's going to come up in their little round table that they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best answer you have.
Right.
All you're doing is preaching to the converted. You're actually not. The question was, how do you get Republicans that are disappointed, or how do you get Republicans to decide to vote for a Democrat instead of Trump? And that's what he brought up, the convictions. It's like, well, you've already lost that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've all this time to figure out what to say to market it, because this is going to get publicity, and that's the only thing that you can do. And most people would hear that and say, well, Obama, that worked against Democrats. It didn't work for them.
Right.
And nobody's hiding it. It's not like everybody doesn't know it. That's all you have?
Right.
Well, they can't speak on the issues, can they?
No, they really can't.
They can't. That's the problem. They can't speak on the issues.
Again, because the president and his party caused all the issues right now that are at hand. The top issues right now are caused by their guy. Sorry, you can't get away from that.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Interesting, though, I was thinking this during the break. You know, just how big is Obama to Democrats anymore? Does he even matter? Because
I'd say he's only slightly more relevant than George Clooney.
remember the adulation. You and I, we were 2008. We were here.
Oh, yeah. And by the end of his second term, he didn't do anything for us. That was the sentiment. Right. And so, as ex-presidents go, it's, it hasn't really been the star power that you would think it would be based on how he made his entrance. It's been, oh, yeah, hey, oh, that's Obama. Okay. Oh. That's it. It has not been a real big splash. And I think a lot of it has to do, with the policies that were in place then, but also the left. The left is ever evolving. They write their playbook and their rule book all over again. He's part of the old playbook. He's no longer relevant. He's not the new playbook left.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just to show you how insane things are right now, and this is a problem that the Democrats have. This is from California Associated Press, all right? With retail theft increasing, California Democratic leadership is clashing with the coalition of law enforcement and business groups in a fierce political fight over how to crack down on the problem. State lawmakers are trying to preserve progressive policies and stay away from putting more people behind bars, which means the Democratic politicians, do not want to punish shoplifting.
Right. They're fighting against it.
They're fighting against putting people in jail for stealing. Yep. The two most likely pass under consideration this year are a ballot initiative to create harsher penalties for repeat offenders and a legislative package aimed at making it easier to go after professional crime rings. Leaders behind the two efforts have accused one another of misleading voters and being unwilling to work towards a compromise. Both sides agree on a need to crack down, especially on large-scale thefts in which groups of people brazenly rush into stores and take goods in plain sight. At the center of the escalating political fight is Proposition 47, a progressive ballot measure passed by voters in 2014 that reduced certain theft and drug possession offenses from felonies to misdemeanors, in part to mitigate overcrowding in jails and prisons. That includes nonviolent property crimes such as thefts under $950. It has made it harder to arrest and punish people who shoplift. Law enforcement said researchers told lawmakers There's no evidence leading the proposition to increase violent crime rates. A coalition of district attorneys and businesses, mostly funded by big box retailers, is pushing for an initiative to bring harsh penalties for shoplifting and drug offenses. It would make theft of any amount a felony if the person already has 2 theft convictions. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you shoplift 3 times.
Yeah.
Possession of fentanyl would also become a felony. It's not now.
How is it not now?
And those with multiple drug charges would be ordered to get treatment. Well, that always works. The ballot measure would still need to be certified by the Secretary of State before it could be placed on the ballot later on this month. California Democratic leadership, backed by Governor Gavin Newsom, wants to keep the tough on crime measure off the November ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. This is what we've become.
Yep.
The Democrats, number one, they become the support terrorist party, and now they're the support criminals party.
Mm-hmm.
Support shoplifting in your town.
Yep. We're not going to do anything about it. In fact, if you try and suggest that we do something about it, we're going to fight you every step of the way. We're not putting people in jail.
What a zoo.
Yeah, and there's, it's not going to change. There is nothing, if there was outrage going against them on this, then of course they would have to change. No, they're actually supported by their constituents. This is why they're driven to do this. They are this way because the people that vote for them are this way. And there's no way around that.
No, remember, Prop 47 was put into law because of the voters. Mm-hmm. The voters wanted it, as we said. Mm-hmm. A lot of the mess in California is because that's what the people want.
Yep.
The liberals in California wish to destroy their state.
Yep.
They claim, no, it's equity for everyone, including the criminal. Most people would disagree with it, but understand, California passed it in 2017.
Yeah.
It's what the voter wants. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Think of the insanity that we're going through on the border, everything that's going on right now, and how the Hollywood elite, the Hollywood old elite, the Clooneys, I've often said, I remember Clooney being on Charlie Rose one time. I thought to myself, he's the kind of guy, because of the image that he has, he starts talking and you assume there's something intelligent coming out of his mouth. And he doesn't say anything. But, and I thought, and this goes back 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You don't see him much around anymore. And then the next person you get is a Jack Black.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and it reeks of, this is where you think about how tone deaf the Democrats are. Well, there's Trump speaking to a black church. There's a black pastor saying that Obama never visited us. There's Trump speaking and pounding on the policies of the Democrats and how they've hurt blacks, and there's cheering. And there's Biden with the Hollywood elite.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it was just, to me, it's the first thing I noticed. I went, wow, do they know what they're doing? Do that on another weekend or whatever. Or maybe they had it, they had it down and so they couldn't get out of that fundraiser. And if it's fundraising, they really don't care what else comes out of it. But, I mean, when you look at the difference in the campaigns and how they're approaching it, and the Democrats are just a disaster. And every day, I mean, because you had the elite in Hollywood. All right. You had Biden, and now it's the freezing. We become so used to him not being able to pronounce sentences, not just words, but all the words in a sentence, and making it one slur. We become used to that, and now it's the freeze. And everybody's talking about the freeze. Even on, I'll find the audio cut I had from MSNBC, and they're saying the same thing. This is a disadvantage for Biden going into this debate, that they know, everyone knows. I saw it was the latest poll, 86% believe he's too old to run. And that's why when you have people out there like Mark Cuban saying, no, it's just they're both old, they're both old. Mark Cuban's playing in the delusion of the Democrats that both Biden and Trump cognitively are the same. And everybody knows that's a line of horse manure.
Yeah, it's nowhere near the same. It's like the bizarre attempt for a couple of hours by the mainstream media after the verdict came down for Hunter Biden to just kind of blend the Hunter Biden thing and the Trump thing as that they were the same cases, the same types of cases, and the same approach. And it's because they really have nowhere else to go. The moments with Biden right now are not about one every few weeks. It's happening every time he goes out. It's happening every single time he's in front of a camera. And the way that it ended at the fundraiser is telling. And I mean, when it comes to the imagery of it all, the freezing, then Obama notices that he's frozen, and then Obama has to take his arm, and then you see his head, Biden's head, when Obama touches his arm. When he turns, he kind of wakes up, and then he's slowly, very slowly walking off stage. It was as if he could barely stand, and Obama, with his arm around him as he's walking off stage, wasn't helping. That actually that's the worst optics you could have in a situation like that, because as you mentioned, the fundraiser thing, okay, who pays attention? Who pays it? What influence is there really? What kind of residual is there aesthetically from an event like that? It's really about the money, and it's these days not about anything else until you have a moment like you had where he's led off stage by Obama after freezing.
Well, I mean, the thing that is noticed is it's Hollywood, and I think people turn it off immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Hollywood's reputation right now is worse than it's ever been since I've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
As for the propaganda that they put out and the recognition from people that we're not going to go and see this.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. I mean, in the entertainment field to begin with. And so you have him with elite Hollywood that most young people don't know to begin with. It's not going to have any effect on anybody who's 50 or over. Nobody cares, about Hollywood.
Right.
And 50 and under, very little effect. But if you get 30 and under, they're looking at it going, who's this George guy?
Yeah.
Well,
and that's the thing. It wouldn't have made much noise at all, except for the numbers. Well, he raised 28 million, whatever he raised. But that wouldn't have really had an effect except for the viral moment of him freezing.
Right. The freeze is what you got out of it based on also the freeze last week.
Mm-hmm.
And plus we haven't gotten to, his response to reporters.
Yeah.
The response to reporters. You saw I believe it was the I think the international press went after him for saying, because he chastised a reporter for asking a question. Remember the one out of, that question basically isn't there. It's not a question I'm supposed to answer. And the press said, there is no list of approved questions, Mr. President.
Yeah, asked the wrong question,
right,
and yeah.
Right, they came back at him for that. And so over the last probably 6 days is where the freeze.
Mm-hmm.
The freezing has now become the word. But then here's Trump at a black church with a black pastor complimenting him. And then he's going basically, telling blacks at that church, you've bought into the propaganda of the Democrats. He's getting cheers.
Yeah.
And then he said this, then this, remember, you have to juxtapose it with Biden, and all the film of him with the Hollywood elite. Then here's Trump.
And we need to spread the word so that every time you leave a tip for the next 5 months, you put on the receipt, vote for Trump because there's no tax on tips.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
and that as a campaign strategy is that we're trying to help the people that need the help the most.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he can get it through. Again, we asked that last week. What are the constitutional questions on it? States can do it, but the federal government is bound by the Constitution on income tax specifically, which is different because the Constitution addresses a federal income tax, not state income tax.
Right.
And so you ask the question, can that pass? But it doesn't matter. Nobody's asking that question. It sounds really good. It sounds like, okay, he cares. They're in Hollywood, and that's what Trump said. They're in Hollywood with the elites. We're out with the people.
Right.
We're out trying to figure out what the people want. And I'm telling you, if the Democrats have learned nothing, and I'm not saying this as a partisan. I'm saying this as, years of political observation. The Democrats don't understand that what they're doing for some reason doesn't work. Now, people like James Carville do. That's why we can't play his audio cuts, because he's cursing up a storm. You've never seen him so mad. He's like, the idiocy of these people. What's going on? Well, you should have been complaining when they let the far left, when they let the squad, when they let anti-Semitism, when they let the radical transgender movement, which is as misogynist as you can get, and against women's rights, when they allowed themselves to be controlled by identity politics, which is just racism under a different label, all these people were quiet. And now they're like, what the hell's going on? What's going on? Well, this is a crop that you've sown here, man. That's what you're getting.
Yep.
This is what you've created. It's not like it's an accident. This is what you created and what you supported.
Yep.
And now it's like, okay, how do we back off from this? You have some Democrats now saying that, but it's a problem. But nothing's working for Biden. Think about it. Has there been any talk on his executive order from the White House on the border?
No.
Once they announced it, has there been anything on it?
Nope.
Except
and on something like that, you would go on the road with it during a campaign season. You would go on the road and you would promote the daylights out of that. They can't even bring it up.
No, they can't even bring it up because they've been pounded on it by everybody in the field. So nothing's happening here.
Right.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome, and good morning. We got to have a little fun, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I happened to see this on social media, and I went, okay, let's play this. Just, the whole global warming thing and all that. Let's go back to 1978.
Yeah, why not?
What were the climate experts saying in 1978? Spock will tell you.
Yeah.
This is Spock. Talking about where we're headed on this earth.
Advance. The result could be hunger and death on a scale unprecedented in all of history. What scientists are telling us now is that the threat of an ice age is not as remote as they once thought. During the lifetime of our grandchildren, Arctic cold and perpetual snow could turn most of the inhabitable portions of our planet into a polar desert.
In 1977, the worst winter in a century struck the United States. Arctic Arctic cold gripped the Midwest for weeks on end. Great blizzards paralyzed cities of the Northeast. One desperate night in Buffalo, 8 people froze to death in marooned cars. Pat Bushnell was on the road that night.
Okay, but they go on and on and on. And that's, after the blizzard of 77 and 78, the left was saying that it's going to be the Ice Age because of what happened. And I went through the blizzard of 77 in Buffalo. And, it was bad, but it was actually the winds on the accumulated snow on Lake Erie that was blown out of the city of Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, that was the accumulation of snow. It was a more snowy winter, but it hasn't been outside of what we have seen, over the last, 50 years.
Right.
But that was where climate experts believe the next ice age is on its way. Remember, he was telling Leonard Nimoy was talking about his grandkids. Well, his grandkids are adults now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're all not freezing to death. That's not the concern. Just to let people know what has been said in the past.
Well, and and we've talked about it, and it's further evidence of what we've been saying about how they've been creating this fear for a long time. Because the question is then, well, what's to be done about it? Well, we're glad you asked. Because what we can do is outlaw all behavior and tax the daylights out of you. But if you want the planet to die, if you want your grandchildren to not be able to live on this planet, okay, then I guess we won't tax you. This has been going on for a long, long time. And we've seen it over and over and over again. And right now they're still doing it. They're still engaging in that same behavior.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And I'm Gary McNamara along with Eric Harley. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Listen when and where you choose in case you can't listen live overnight. What are you talking about here? What's this headline you're reading me?
All right, so, here's the headline. Drivers told to avoid gas stations in 4 states from Newsweek.
That's the headline.
Yeah. Drivers told to avoid gas stations in 4 states. Avoid gas stations to you, what does that mean?
They've got water in the gas, and so you don't want to...
Don't get gas, right?
Don't get gas.
Avoid them at all costs, right? Avoid them.
Water in the gas.
Mm-hmm.
Terrorists are hanging out at gas stations.
Here's the more accurate first sentence of the story itself. Residents of 4 U.S. states have been asked to refill their vehicles with gas in the early morning or evening due to poor air quality reports. And I've been noticing the clickbaiting going on with weather-related things.
Yes.
The weather-related clickbaiting is getting stupid. But they're getting desperate to get people's attention to and once they get the click, they don't care. But the story is not, don't buy gas in these 4 states. It's, hey, they're asking you if you would fill up in the morning hours or the evening hours to make sure that we don't have any poor air quality alerts. At least try not to contribute to those by doing the following.
I figured out about 80% of the clickbait headlines when I see them. Mm-hmm. I get burned about 20% of them, maybe less.
And that's not one. You know what I mean? That's not one that would even come close, because that sounds like what I was wondering was, okay, Gulf states, tropical system coming in.
Yes.
If they believe there's going to be a lot of flooding, maybe some underground tanks could be contaminated with water, that kind of thing. That would be a concern.
Right.
Of it, usually after the fact, if they have evidence of some kind of water in gas tanks, underground storage tanks, that's going to affect the supply for a while. Avoid buying in those areas. Well, okay, that's understandable.
What I first thought that it was when you read the headline to me, I went, oh, a shortage problem in, temporary shortage problem in those states. Weather-wise, tankers couldn't get through, something like that is what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's got nothing to do with that. There's plenty of gas.
No.
They're not telling you not to get gas.
Right.
Yeah, the clickbaiting is getting pretty bad.
No, it is. And, it's getting to where they've just, we got to make something up. And this isn't even, it's not even because avoid. Here's the more accurate headline. Drivers asked to avoid filling up in the heat of the day in these 4 states. But the problem is, once you do that, now, you may not know the state. That would still be enough of a clickbait. Oh, wait, is that one of my states? Am I in one of those 4 states? Is one of those states mine?
Mm-hmm.
It's clickbait enough to get you to the story. But they can't stop there. I mean, Newsweek needs to be spelled W-E-A-K. It's just stupid. And it's like, it's children. It's like you're dealing with children.
Well, the one I always, it's clickbait because it's some kind of a scam, but the one on Facebook now where somebody will say, and I can't believe he's gone. I can't believe he left us at such a young age. And it's like, oh, that's a scam clickbait.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Click onto this one. I saw it like 4 times yesterday, which means they're hacking into they're really attempting to hack into people's accounts. Because, like I said, I couldn't believe how many times I saw it yesterday from people that I know. And it was like, then everybody say, don't open it, don't open it, don't open it, don't open it.
Right.
But
one they do with Hollywood types is, especially the death of someone in Hollywood, Yellowstone actor passes away. And you're thinking, first thing you think is Kevin Costner. Well, now we're trained to know if Kevin Costner dies, it would be a headline on every alert would come. Kevin Costner has passed away, and it's usually a guy who had a small non-speaking role in one episode of Yellowstone. And, not to demean, it's just that those aren't the kind of headlines that people actually are attracted to. A guy, because if you write it that way, a guy who once appeared on Yellowstone, but not one of the main stars of Yellowstone, has passed away. People go, yeah, we don't care. And
the only time that would matter is if it was something like the woman with the non-speaking role in the Soup Nazi episode at the cashier,
right?
If something happened to her.
Yeah. Or if the guy who played the Soup Nazi, who's not a big name actor per se, but, he's a guy that everybody knows. He's iconic from the 90s.
Yeah, he's like...
His face.
Yeah, you would know him.
You would know.
Which is why I brought up.
Yeah.
But, she was an extra, and she really lost her job because she did such a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Because the extras, they really didn't get any speaking roles. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted, like a lot of those people were the same extras on Seinfeld that whole run.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But if you got a speaking role or if you stood out so strongly, you were no longer in the background.
Yeah. The guy who played the Soup Nazi actually talked about that. Now, he didn't say it, he didn't phrase it this way, but you kind of know what happens. In the end, and at the final episode, what was he dealing with? Which animal was he dealing with? But he had a back and forth with an animal, and he looked over, and there was no speaking in that. There was nothing coming out. He wasn't saying no soup for you. And he looked over at the director in Seinfeld, and
Well, that was the last episode where they were on the porch.
Mhm. Yeah,
And he was serving the soup.
right.
And they said it just didn't come across. So he said something like "no soup for you," but they didn't put it in the show.
Right. Well, but while he was on the set, they said they were shaking their head, and he was like, "Oh man, I botched it." And he walked over to them, and they said, "Come here." And he was thinking he botched it, and he said, "They told me, you've got to say it. You've got to say the line. No soup for you. You've got to say the line." And it's interesting because you think about these, well, so-called no-name actors, because nobody really knows the guy's name, but you know his face. And, you see that every once in a while where, I don't know, they kind of rise to the top before that. He said he's actually had a long career.
Oh, yeah.
Going out and signing autographs and that kind of thing.
Well, the woman, though, the woman that was handing the change back, she did such a good job that they didn't use her as an extra anymore.
Right.
Because she became a known character.
Right.
She never said a word, but just handed the money back. It was like, "No soup for you," and gives the money back.
Right.
In that aggressive style. And it was like she was done as an extra.
Right.
Because you'd recognize her from that point on. You'd go, well, that's the soup Nazi cashier.
Right.
So
yeah,
they didn't pay that much either. He only got a couple of grand.
Right.
Soup Nazi only got. Now he gets residuals.
He
gets residuals. Yeah, not a lot, but he gets some residuals.
Yeah.
But that was. Maybe that's who will be endorsing Biden at the next Hollywood thing. You'll get some of these.
Well,
these are all the extras in all of these thousands of
Hollywood extras
shows, and they're all supporting Biden.
Well, it's interesting because of what we relate to. I mean, speaking of clickbaiting, they kind of had to get into that for the Biden campaign. The liberal media that's still holding or carrying the water for Biden kind of gets into the clickbaiting realm themselves. They'll write a headline. Well, Hollywood shows up for Joe Biden, something to that extent. Was it Hollywood? Or was it a few actors? There were, the thing is that you've got to create something that's not there at every turn. Create something that's not there, whether it's clickbaiting or the Joe Biden campaign. You have to create something that's not real in order to get somebody's attention. And I think in both cases, whether it's you're trying to do it politically or trying to do it through clickbaiting now, they're realizing it's not working, which is why you end up with the completely false headline from Newsweek. They realize, well, I guess we're just going to have to make it up altogether. And it's the same strategy as the political strategy. Just make it up. Make it seem like something that it's not. And that's the idea. They're probably hiring Hollywood writers to write the clickbaiting ad or clickbaiting headlines now.
Well, AI might be able to do a better job.
Maybe AI wrote the whole story. Okay, so there's the problem. AI is going to learn from all the stupidity because AI is just going to basically collect all the stupidity that comes ahead of it, and it's going to use that to the nth degree.
There was a woman who went up against AI and asked a question, and she put it on her social media. I forgot which app it was, whatever, but it was AI. And she did the whole thing about and went into the minutia about what is a woman and what is a man.
Mm-hmm.
And AI agreed with her after going through it, and it was a long thread. And finally, AI agreed with her. Okay, yeah, your definition is the correct definition, which was her original definition to begin with.
Right.
But she kept making points at AI because AI is always learning. Eventually came to the conclusion that she was right, that a woman and a man are different because of their chromosomes.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And I thought, when I read it, I thought it was fake, but then I realized then she works for, I forgot what publication she works for. She did as part of the publication. Let's see if we can change AI's mind, and she did.
Yeah.
It's like, now you got to completely redo it. The liberals are going, all right, we got to redo this thing here.
Your debate is going to redirect AI, and AI is all about direction. It's all about whatever it gets that's already out there. And so you redirect AI, and there's going to, in fact, one of my greatest concerns is the manipulation of AI. And in that case, she's actually debating it by redirecting it and introducing facts. Then it has to double check those facts and come back and say, no, your facts are right.
Well, because they couldn't define a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they were using the same words, woman is somebody with, female characteristics, which is what?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's sort of bigoted. What's a female characteristic? Isn't that bigoted? Oh, it was almost like she was taunting AI, knowing that it's in the brain of a liberal who can't be responding with, I'm not going to answer that question because if I answer that question, then people will commit suicide. AI has to answer the question somehow.
Right. AI is not going to use that emotional response.
Right.
It's going to be, but it's still going to be the garbage in, garbage out effect of what debate has already happened before it. They can only basically repeat the points of that debate. Until then, you redirect it to the facts and ask it directly the facts. And then AI has no choice but to, of course.
Well, that was just funny because as we were in that last segment or last break, and you were just like, what the? Here's the headline. And I said, don't tell me what the story is until we go back on the air.
I said, yeah. I said, hey, Gary, here's the headline. And I read you the headline, and just proof that they're having to make it up as they go along just to get anybody to their page now.
86690 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. The House GOP will go to court to obtain the Biden-her audio. Well, we knew that already. That was going to eventually happen, but that won't be. They won't get that in all likelihood till after the election. One would think, you never know, but one would think that isn't going to happen for a while. Plus, the confusion of the left right now. They don't know where to go with the debate not far away, and with Biden's cognitive issues. The left doesn't know really where to go. We'll give you an example coming up.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Actor Morgan Freeman once again has criticized the idea of Black History Month. I detest it, he told Variety on Saturday. The mere idea of it, you're going to give me the shortest month in a year? Are you going to celebrate my history? The whole idea makes my teeth itch. It's not right. Freeman added, my history is American history. It's a one thing in this world I'm interested in, beyond making money, having a good time, and getting enough sleep. Freeman stressed the value of knowing American history. He related it to his upcoming The Gray House, which is based on the true story of 3 women who worked as Union spies during the Civil War. If you don't know your past, if you don't remember it, you are bound to repeat it, he said. The Academy Award-winning actor made similar statements about Black History Month. In 2023, he referred to Black History Month as an insult along with the term African American. I don't subscribe to that title, he said. Black people have had different titles all the way back to the N-word, and I do not know how these things get such a grip, but everyone uses African American. What does that actually mean? Freeman has attacked Black History Month since 2005. Most notably, Freeman made national news in 2005 when he called the idea of a month dedicated to Black history as ridiculous. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history. He added the best way to get rid of racism is to stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man, Freeman said in the interview. In his decades-long career, as we know, he's got a ton of American Academy Award nominations. And as we all know, Eric always speaks in his character voice, Red, talking to Andy Dufresne.
I remember when Morgan Freeman first started talking about racism in 2005.
So there you go.
I've
heard no comment on that one from the left so far.
And that one point he made in that interview from 2005, you stop calling me black, I'll stop calling you white, and we'll just have a conversation. Stop focusing on race. And it really comes down to what a now departed friend of mine said. He was from Europe, but don't hate him for that. He was a great guy. And a British guy, and he lived here in the States for quite some time, but he said, and went home on a regular basis. And by home, I mean Malibu. And, where the liberals are. He went back to his very liberal Malibu home. But he talked about the American obsession in the American media's obsession with racism. He said it's really bizarre. I think there is some of that now. It's what we observe from here across the pond. And I said to him, there is some of that with British media. He said, but at every turn with American media. And that is true. And it is that obsession with the left that they must focus on that at all times. And it must be that at all times. And not everyone subscribes to that. And I mean everyone in the black community, that the left wants to be, again, okay, you've got to get in line. If you are black, you have to think this way, vote this way, act this way. And the fact of the matter is that I've always looked at individuals as just that, individuals with individual thought, who are free to form their own opinion and based on their own experience in life, determine the things that they prefer, determine what their political goals are going to be, I mean, in terms of who they want in office. And it's the only way to approach it, but not if you're on the left.
Well, if I was talking to Morgan Freeman, I would tell him, well, the left, and I don't know where he particularly stands, but I do believe that the reason that identity politics continues and why this continues is I believe there is a significant number of Democrats and liberals who are white that actually the reason they call us racist is those are the feelings that they have.
Yeah. Right.
They call us racist on every single issue where we stand because you and I go back to when we thought about that one day and said, why do they – we're talking about, the national debt and the reality of mathematics on it, and they're calling us racist. And we came to a conclusion one day. That's why they practice identity politics. They practice identity politics, and they promote it, and at the same time feel guilty about it because they know that they're promoting racism. They're not stupid, but they know to get their political agenda done, they must judge people by a certain group that the left wishes to attain to that particular physical characteristic of that person.
Yeah.
Or sexuality of that person, which then means if you are this way, you must think this way, and that's not the case. And that's where they got into the problems is at the same time they know their identity politics is wrong. They also know that's how they keep their political agenda moving. And so when they call us racist, and we have always wondered, well, why? That's got nothing to do with racism. It has to do with making sure that you have that if you're going to use funds to help the poor, that you use them in the most efficient and productive way. And the conclusion or the consequences or the results of those programs are open to discussion. And what you're saying is if you question the programs, then automatically you're a racist. I think that comes from the fact that they believe they're racist and they're guilty about it. And they believe everybody thinks the same as they do because I don't know where else it comes from, Eric. I don't know. It's big. I think people project out. It's like when we say, how do these people think? And we're just assuming they have the exact same thought process that we do, and that's our flaw in doing that. They don't. They think differently than we do. And you and I finally came to that conclusion a few years back and said they don't think like us because none of it makes sense. You can't connect any of the dots. And when you can't connect the dots, we get frustrated. They're connecting to the dots is, look, I'm a racist. I believe we should judge people by groups. I believe blacks think this way, whites think this way. And since I think they agree with critical race theory, I think they agree, liberal whites agree with privilege because that's the guilt that they feel for the racism that they hold inside of their hearts. I don't know another explanation besides that. I don't know because they are so quick to the draw to throw the racism charge out when you say, well, wait a minute, you guys have been practicing the identity politics. Maybe you're the racist.
Well, if you behave in a way where you believe that groups need to be manipulated and controlled, and you demonstrate that you don't believe they're capable of making the choices on their own as individuals, then there's nothing else I can take from that except your bigotry, that you're shocked and outraged that there isn't a group mindset, that they don't behave in a group mindset. It is beyond comprehension to you. And again, I'm left with nothing but your bigotry showing. And that's something that you can't really get away from. It is the entire equation laid out. You can't be thinking for yourself. We've seen it time and time again.
Well, I think
Tim Scott still deals with it on a regular basis.
He just got hit with that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. And
what do you think about the fact that you think this way? So you're being used by the Republicans.
Exactly.
You don't have your own mind. You're simply a tool of the white person who happens to be a Republican.
Right.
Which is completely false.
Right. It's if you fully have invested in that and you have always believed that, and you're outraged that someone would have individual thought, then it tells me that you're a bigot. It tells me that you believe that person can't think for themselves and can't have a thought that is different from others.
Right. And that's how they go
through
life.
That's bigotry.
Oh, okay. You you held on to the ideology of the Democrats, which you should have, and now you moved over here, which can only mean one conclusion.
Right.
And the one conclusion is you wish to be used by whites over here instead of whites over here in the Democrats.
That exactly. How dare you not let us use you? You're letting the Republicans use you.
Right.
I mean, that's the thought, based on your skin color. Not that people can't have differing opinions. Look, this is the business that you and I are in. But when it comes to saying, well, no, your skin color dictates what you should think, what you should do, how you should vote, according to us, well, that's flat out bigotry. And I know it when I see it.
Or your youth means you should vote our way, or the fact that we're willing to take away your responsibility,
right,
student loan debt, and put it on somebody else because that's a good thing. We can't explain it to the people. We can't promote it, but we're trying to buy your vote because we believe we can buy your vote.
Right.
We believe we can buy your vote. When you think about it, that's the strongest message they put out. We can buy your vote by taking money from other people and giving it to you.
Right. And
then when you question them on it, you just said you're taking money from some and giving it to the others. No. Nobody's paying for this.
Right.
I mean, nobody's paying for it. Then you give the James Clyburn, idiocy moment there. Well, nobody pays for it because by the time they pay for it, they've already paid for they've already paid the amount of the principal.
Right.
What?
Yeah, the loan's already been paid. They've already paid the equal amount in principal. That's not how it works. We know that's not how it works.
I wish I could have gotten away with that on my mortgage.
Exactly.
That would have been nice.
Oh yeah. Let's do that for all kinds of debt. By the way, I'm sure there are plenty of liberals listening right now going, "Oh yeah, let's write that down. We actually should be doing that with all kind of debt." You can't do that with all kinds of debt because borrowing money costs money.
You're purchasing a product.
It's the way it is.
Yeah, it's almost as if we say, "Well, cars should cost nothing tomorrow."
Right.
Or houses should cost nothing.
Right. Well, no, I mean, that's eventually that's where they will go. We heard it during the COVID years, and no one should own property. Yeah, that's actually how it works. But plenty on the left that, well, home ownership isn't what it actually, that's not the American dream. The American dream is just to have a roof over your head, and we can provide that. We'll give you all you need.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. At a roadside inspection, inspectors may ask to see supporting documents. A supporting document is a document generated or received by a motor carrier in the normal course of business that can be used by law enforcement to verify a driver's logs. These documents can include bills of lading, itineraries, schedules, or equivalent documents that indicate the origin and destination of each trip. They can also include dispatch or trip records, expense receipts related to on-duty/not driving periods, including receipts for meals, lodging, and fuel, electronic mobile communication transmitted through a fleet management system, and payroll records, settlement sheets, or equivalent documents that indicate payment to a driver. Drivers using paper logs must also keep toll receipts. Supporting documents must contain the driver's name, carrier-assigned identification number or vehicle unit number that can be linked to the driver, the date, the name of the nearest city, town, or village, and the time. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. All right, I'm trying to figure out exactly what the message is here. This is over the weekend, MSNBC host Alex Wagner talking about the upcoming debate. All right. I'm just going to play it.
All right.
Here we go. Listen to her analysis of this and how Joe Biden is at a disadvantage.
I do have to ask, though, I mean, this is all thrown into sharp relief when the two men are on stage debating, right? And it already feels like, the first presidential debate is set for June 27th. It already feels like the bar that is set for Biden to clear is so much substantially higher than the one Trump has to clear, which is literally, is he alive? Is he standing? Are the words coming out of his mouth? Setting aside what the words actually are. And I wonder if there's any way for Biden to overcome what seems like a structural disadvantage on, in the weeks leading up to what's going to be a pretty important inflection point in this campaign.
Yeah, Alex, I think that's an important question. We don't know the answer yet. The challenge with Trump, running against Trump for Biden, is that it's not really a head-to-head contest in which they're both being judged by the same term.
Really?
What?
Huh?
Where the hell are they going with
What?
this? I mean, it's just like, what?
What?
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
The structural, what do you mean structural disadvantage? That's Biden's cognitive problems. That's the problem.
Yeah, because that's basically what they're saying. It's not fair to judge one by his age and the other one not.
Well, I'm not judging by age. I'm judging by cognitive abilities.
Right.
So they're trying to set the age premise then, as Mark Cuban attempted to do on Twitter and got blasted.
This is where they're going.
Got
How dare you?
blasted last night for that. It's not about your age.
Yeah.
It's about your cognitive abilities. And if you're denying that he's having these moments, well, then you're in the same delusional class of all the other Democrats that pretend it's not happening. Then you go to MSNBC, then the network promoting that it's really not happening, and they're telling you it's really happening.
Yeah, right.
It's just like
right, but they're phrasing it differently.
It's like
structural. What? This is again. They are the side that recreates definitions. They rephrase things, right? In the DEI world, they start talking in a language you're going, what are you saying right now? What are you actually saying? And that's, of course, we recognize all this. This is something that they've been doing for a long, long time. But there is no way around the fact that every time Biden steps out, it's catastrophic, imaging-wise. I would advise them, because I would love to see a debate, but I got to tell you, it's getting harder and harder to not feel sorry for Joe Biden, because you see something that's very wrong with him. And they're doing it every single day. They're making this happen, including his wife. If something is wrong with him and they're putting him out there, that's also on them.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. Nightly on Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, the one thing that gets me when I played the Alex Wagner audio cut from MSNBC, worried about the debate is unfair to Joe Biden because the expectations for him are so high.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just like, are you kidding me? I mean, none of it made sense. And then she talked about, will he die? Can he put out a full sentence? And therefore the expectation is so high. None of it made sense. My first thought when I heard that was, I know how you and I prepare for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And when we prepare for the show and a topic comes up, if we don't know it, if we're not sure, we have questions, we'll tell you what the questions are. But the fact is, we've got to connect dots.
Yeah.
You've got to have some critical thinking. It has to be logical in some way. You just can't say words on our show.
Right.
The words have to mean something. And when I heard her talking, I'm like, well, she's all over. I'll play it again just so people can hear it, because you're just like, well, where's she going with this? Well, he's held to such a higher standard. And you would think her next statement would be that they ask Biden that he has to solve the E equals MC squared problem, where they asked Trump about who's going to win the next UFC fight.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, you could make it, well, okay, Trump's being, or that Biden's being treated differently, and to a much high, that the bar is much higher for him. But when she says the bar is higher for him and he has to prove he's not dead, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But
Right.
here, we'll play it again just so you can hear it. Here we go. All right.
I do have to ask, though, I mean, this is all thrown into sharp relief when the two men are on stage debating, right? And it already feels like, the first presidential debate is set for June 27th. It already feels like the bar that is set for Biden to clear is so much substantially higher than the one Trump has to clear, which is literally, is he alive? Is he standing? Are the words coming out of his mouth? Setting aside what the words actually are. And I wonder if there's any way for Biden to overcome what seems like a structural disadvantage on, in the weeks leading up to what's going to be a pretty important inflection point in this campaign.
Now, I may have her wrong. Is she saying that Trump is the one that has to prove he's alive? Is she buying into the same Mark Cuban stuff, the delusion that Mark Cuban had last night? Is that what that is? Because I assumed she was talking about Biden.
Play it again one more time.
Okay, let's see. Here we go.
See, we don't jump on things. Well, if we have a question about, because you bring up a good point. Let's hear it again.
I do have to ask, though, I mean, this is all thrown into sharp relief when the two men are on stage debating, right? And it already feels like, the first presidential debate is set for June 27th. It already feels like the bar that is set for Biden to clear is so much substantially higher than the one Trump has to clear, which is literally, is he alive? Is he standing? Are the words coming out of his mouth? Setting aside what the words actually are. And I wonder if there's any way for Biden to overcome what seems like a structural disadvantage on, in the weeks leading up to what's going to be a pretty important inflection point in this campaign.
Well, because is she saying the bar is much lower for Trump and all he has to do is prove that he's breathing? Or is she saying it about Biden that he has to prove, that he's alive, he's standing up on his own, and that words are coming out of his mouth?
Well, that's the first time I heard it.
It sounds like Biden.
The second time I thought it was Biden. And then I went, wait a minute. They're all on the narrative from Joe Scarborough on that Trump is the one who has all the cognitive problems and Biden is as sharp as a wit. And so that's why I said, well, wait a minute. She may be referring to Trump, that all Trump has to do is prove that he's alive. And I think that's what she's saying.
Well, that to me sounds like the bar is much lower for Trump, that it's much higher for Biden. In other words, all he has to do
that's
is
what she was
prove
saying.
that he's breathing.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought it was
he gets points just for showing up.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that's a delusional thought that all Trump has to do is prove that he's alive. Mm-hmm. That's what they're looking for in Biden.
Right.
Can he get through a sentence? I mean, when she said it, it's just like, what in the world? I had it completely wrong.
Because you don't know who the he is in that sentence.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Is Trump alive? Because this is how they wrote it here. Trump's bar is literally, okay, so the bar for Biden is so much higher. Trump's bar is literally, is he alive? Is he standing? Are the words coming out?
Right. The bar's really low. All he has to do is show up.
But it's Biden that has all those problems, not Trump. Mm-hmm. And this is part of the delusion created by MSNBC last week, especially with Joe Scarborough, is that Biden is as quick as anybody could possibly be. His staff comes out and says, we can't keep, the young kids can't keep up with him. They just can't do it. And then that's what you heard last week. And so then with Alex Wagner, I first thought she was talking about, because she was describing Biden, It's like, well, wait a minute. No, she's talking about Trump.
Yeah, but I think she's saying when, is he standing up? Is he breathing? Basically, all you have to do is show up. I didn't take that as cognitive issues. If we're talking about Trump, then she's just saying it's enormously low. All he has to do is stand there on the stage.
Well, since everything is right now on Biden is cognitive issues, that's why I took that as cognitive issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The expectations of Joe Biden are so high.
Right. All Trump has to do is prove that he's breathing.
Yeah. On what issue?
No, this is where you set a false, again, the false narrative of, oh my gosh, he has to prove himself over and over. People are too stupid to see how good the economy is. This is where they have been for a while.
Oh, okay. I get it. It takes me a while to understand.
Yeah, no, we're trying to explain the liberal mindset.
The liberal mindset.
Yeah.
That the expectations of Joe Biden are so high because he's done so many great things
that people are too stupid to see.
And the people don't recognize it. Therefore, the bar is higher.
He has to work harder on stage to prove himself again and again, and all Trump has to do is stand there and breathe.
Okay, we have to start a new bit on the show.
Yeah.
Gary attempting to understand the mindset of a liberal.
Yeah, Gary trying to put on a liberal mindset. Yeah.
I had completely the opposite. I thought she.
No, it kind of sounded like that.
I thought she was criticizing Biden and what are you going to do but it made no sense because she was saying the bar is higher. Well, no, it's lower. Then I realized, oh no, she's talking about Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she's, Biden has to work much harder. All Trump has to do is stand there. Right.
Oh, my God.
By the way, that Donald Trump. Liberals are saying it's easy for him. Think about that. It's easy for Trump. What has his base been? What is it? Where is the momentum? Where is the growth been? Look at where we are now compared to, don't even go back to 2016. Go back to the day he announced he was going to run again in 2024. Go back to that day. When you have a significant part of the Republican Party going, yeah, we don't know. We're not so sure about it. And now it is not only the Republican Party, the party that is clearly on board now, it is others that are, without a doubt, outside that Republican Party, and that can only be independents and maybe a few Democrats.
Didn't he announce last year in 2023?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to go. You don't have to go back to 2016. You only have to go back to the date he announced it. It was November of 23.
Well, I thought you'd said 24. That's why. That's okay.
No, I said if you come forward to 2024, that's the comparison.
Okay. All right.
All you have to do is that swing of time, which has been what? 18, 20 months, something like that. You don't have to go back to 2016 even to make the comparison of where it's come with Trump. Just go back that far.
I'll go back to last fall. I'll go back to. I'll go back
pre-primary.
Pre-primary, yeah.
Sure.
There was
you could. You're right. No, that's a great point. You could even get it down to the last 8 months.
Yeah.
8 months. Go back to November of 23. And you don't have to go back even to where
Isn't that when he announced at Mar-a-Lago? Was in 2023?
Yeah. November. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I said previously 22. It was right after the Mar-a-Lago raid. Wasn't long after that. Remember, because people thought, was he doing this so that there won't be any interference, that he's hoping, or his campaign is hoping, it'll keep him out of jail? That was the question.
So that was 2022 then.
Was it 22?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I was right on that.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
My God, time is flying
I know.
by.
It's crazy, right? No. It was because, of course, the Mar-a-Lago raid was that long ago, and it was right after the midterms, the 22 midterms. Yeah. So think about that time. But you could go back to November of 23. And look where the primary was setting up. Look, we know the nature of primaries. We get it. We've been doing it a long time. Except you had, we're talking about the rank and file, where the mindset of the rank and file was. And the reasons of not going for Trump. Now, you had your ever-present never-Trumper. And then you had, a couple of people that have jumped on the RFK Jr. thing. But you had a number of people going, we don't know. We're kind of hoping DeSantis will win. But what changed?
Yeah, November 15th, 2022.
Yeah, I thought it was the 15th, too. Yeah.
Wow, time is flying by. I'm
crazy,
telling you, it's just
crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, it was right after, it was not long after the Mar-a-Lago raid.
Yeah, which was August.
Mm-hmm. Right? And the question was, all right, is that, a move to kind of preemptive move on the legal, for some legal reason? I mean, that came out and everything else. But now look where we are. The momentum just since the verdict, which was, May 30th? Just since then, has been different. I was looking at the Arizona polls in the Senate. Gallegos lost a lot of points in two different likely voter polls, and it could be that they're likely voters and not registered voter polls, and is now within, Kari Lake is within the margin of error now from Gallegos. And both of those polls included dates since the verdict. The one poll included a couple of days right around a day before the verdict, but also included days through the 4th of June, which is post-verdict. And you have to look at that and say, okay, how much of this has changed with the toxicity, where people wake up and go, wait, hold on, what happened? Keep in mind, not everybody was keeping track of everything, even the cases against Trump, every day like we do, like our audience does. And how many people woke up after that going, yeah, but what did he actually do? What was this case all about? And then put everything in their mind in order, thinking, wow, they're willing to put their political opponent behind jail. I'm not going to stand for that.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. The premise of, what the bar is for Biden or whatever, what Trump has to do, forget about what the bar is, because the bar would be Trump needs to articulate very simply all the damage that the Democrats have done. What Trump needs to do is say, look, the Democrats under Joe Biden can't and won't solve the problems we have today because they caused them.
Yeah.
That's what he has to do.
Right.
Whatever if that's the bar that I would say that Trump would need to meet. Now, that is a greater bar than Biden, because Biden cannot and has not and still has, 45% of the country supporting him that knows on the issues he has done everything wrong. So the bar for Biden to win more support, to keep his support is nothing, because he's done nothing.
Right.
And won't do anything at the debate. Trump actually has to articulate something.
Exactly. I think he's the one that has to work harder.
This is Red Eye Radio. on Westwood One.